So the mom is the first point of social contact, and then comes the father, then comes the immediate family, whoever is there. But if you look at it, your child doesn't really require either the mother or the father for the first couple of months. The first 6 months, though, the child only requires to be, like, fed on time, cleaned on time, yes, held, warmth been given, love being showered. That is where the child is trying to understand what it means to be in a social structure. So the play also, if you look at it, this is how the play develops. It is sensory play because the child is trying to learn about its body, the five senses, entire thing about itself. Then comes the solitary play. Solitary play is about all about how I can play, how, what my limits are, what my thinking is, what my uh, thinking is not. And then comes the parallel play, where the child is calling you as a parent rather than the other children or whatever, and asking you to engage with the child at its level, meaning it says, come, you also play here with me. I will play with my toy, you play with your toy. Basically what the child is trying to say is, like, give me company, but don't intrude into my space at the moment, because I'm still learning about my own self. I don't know about you. Then imaginative play, all of these things happen, and when the child is completely ready after the pretend play and everything, you will then see that the child socially moves into the cooperative play. Cooperative play happens at the age of 5 plus, meaning this is the time when your child actually starts engaging with other children in a meaningful play, meaning you will see them coming up with a game. If it is hopscotch, if they are going to be playing hopscotch, they'll set rules of how to play hopscotch. They will set up rules about who goes first, who doesn't go first. Then, you will see through the play there will be a lot of disruption that happens, where one child will throw this thing and it goes out of the boundary or whatever, but the child is very unhappy that he or she doesn't want to give up its turn or whatever it is, and they will say, no, I want to continue. I and all of these things happen. Okay, sorry. So, there's a lot of teamwork that happens. Your child is learning how to play cooperatively with other people, and in that kind of engaged cooperative play, there's a lot of social construct that the child is learning, meaning that is exactly where the child is learning how things work in my house, how things work in other people's house. You will see all of a sudden at the age of, like, 8 7 8 years old, 9 years old and all that, your child comes to you and says, but in my friend's house the mommy says this, or the parents say this, or they give this, it is allowed to eat this, or the child is allowed to do that, or they bought this, why can I not have it? Those comparisons start. What happens in this comparison is there's a lot of understanding of how the society in general work, how there are a lot of systems and mechanisms that's going on, why their house is different, why our house is different, why the way we do things are different, why their other houses, the way they do things are different, which is a better system, which is a not a better system, what's more effective, what's not more effective. All of these questions will come up. So by the time all of these understanding happens and they figure all of this out, they are, like, they're teenagers. And by the time they are teenagers, then comes the main this thing of forming their own social structure. So here they are trying to get into their own, friends and stuff and things like that. So basically this is just the nutshell of how the development happens. Now, coming to the point of how do you look at it from the perspective of homeschooling or unschooling. Just because your child is at home, being homeschooled or being unschooled doesn't necessarily mean that your child is incapable of socialization. Encouraging the child to go out to the age appropriate, obviously. I'm not saying please send your small child to the store or any of those things. Whenever you as a family decide that your child is old enough, when you send the child out to the grocery store for a milk run or for a curd run or whatever, what do you think is happening? There is a socialization that happens. The child goes, the child respectfully asks, where is the milk section? Or if the child already is aware where the milk booth is, then it will go pick that milk packet of milk and will come back to the this thing and then pay for it, ask how much, and then pay, say thank you, and come back with whatever it is. So there is socialization that happened. So how do you facilitate it? You obviously will be taking your child out with you for shopping, right? Your child is learning from you. Child is looking at you and learning. You talk to the neighbors. Your child has friends in the colony. Your child is playing out there with whatever age friends. The thing, what I'm trying to tell you here is that, the thing about socialization in terms of the same age group that happens in a schooling structure, I personally don't believe in that. I personally do not believe that, children need to have their own age group friends. Children can have, I mean, a lot of my daughter's friends are my friends. They treat me as their friend. I'm their go-to sounding board if they want to. My daughter has friends in the unschooling and homeschooling community who are parents, who whose children are still too young. Those young kids actually look up to my daughter, and they, have a very healthy mutual relationship. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. It's a very, how do I say, it's a very healthy relationship. Bottom line here is, it's how you facilitate it with your child. If you facilitate a process of a very healthy symbiotic relationship with every individual without looking at them and identifying them with their labels, like, you should only have friends at your age appropriate friends, gender appropriate friends, caste appropriate friends. As long as we as parents aren't doing that, or we are not focused on that, socialization should not be a problem, because your child will learn to socialize with everyone. Yes, teaching them how to behave with people as per their age. Like, if your child does have a friend who is quite older than your child's age, and if your child oversteps its boundary, and you as a parent will have to facilitate that and teach the child how to be respectful enough. I'm sure this is something that even schools don't teach you. I mean, they do teach you that you need to respect your elders and stuff and things like that, but the rest of the things, I think it's up to the parents. So as long as you're facilitating these things, I don't see a challenge in homeschooling or unschooling from the perspective of socialization. If that is your concern, then don't be worried about it. Coming to the point of whether you need to homeschool or unschool for yourself as a family, yes, now that is the most interesting question.
She is left the meeting. Do you want to answer?
No, I'm
still?
here.
You're there?
She's here.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're
I could see her. She's here.
okay. Okay, continue.
Thank you so much.
So unschooling or homeschooling, is it for me? Is it right for me and my child? That, forget about your child. For every parent, this is exactly what I would say. As a family, are you, see, unschooling or okay, there is a slight amount of difference between unschooling and homeschooling. In unschooling, mostly you don't have any kind of formal assessment. You do not have any kind of formal subjects that you teach your child. So it becomes very difficult to assess whether your child is learning something or not. It is like I keep saying, it's a child-led learning. It is like you need to have immense faith. You need to have immense trust in your child and in the process that your child is constantly learning. I will touch base upon how to assess an unschooling child as well. But homeschooling is a lot more easier to be done, because homeschooling, what happens is, here the flexibility of homeschooling is the beautiful thing. Even though you do have syllabus that you follow. You buy books and you help your child sit and learn the subjects and whatever the concept is, like math and science and stuff and things like that. The only thing that homeschooling parents don't do is they don't force the child to study a subject that they are not interested in. Meaning, for example, at the age of let's say 8 years old, your child is still not ready for math or is not ready for physics. Hi, 1 second. This is my other unschooling daughter who's never been to any kind of socialization, who absolutely hates socialization. And you have to see her. She's a very anti-social being in our house, the only one. Where we all love to socialize, she loves the comfort of her bed. And it's been too long since she's been missing me, so she came seeking me out. All right, getting back to this thing. So on homeschooling, it's like you do have subjects and you have, let's say your child is interested in English, your child is interested in mathematics, your child is interested in social studies and some art and creativity and computer science and all that. You just invest in books. You sit with the child, you create a planner for the child saying like, okay, today whatever the child chooses, today the child says, okay, I'm going to learn English today. So it'll pull the book out, it'll take out the lesson or whatever it is and then go through the lessons and do whatever it is. Basically it is schooling system at home, but without the pressure of learning from the school structure, without the competition of the schooling structure, and without the day being broken into periods exactly like 40-minute period, this subject, this subject, this subject. Like whether the child likes it or not, the child has to study all the 3 languages and all the 3 subjects in school. Whereas when you're homeschooling, you're learning only one language, or you're learning all the languages that the child is interested in, and you're also learning the top subjects that the child and the parent are interested in. Like if the parent says, I want you to learn science because science is important, and I want you to learn mathematics because it is also important for you, then the child learns those. You may drop the social science, say, okay, you pick up social science much later on, just before you giving your 10th exams, or if you're whatever, you can 2 years before we are ready to write the 10th exams, we'll start preparing on the social science aspect of it. So that's how this homeschooling journey works. So there is a very eased out pace of schooling system to it. That's why it's called homeschooling. The word itself stands for that, home schooling. Yes, you also have to be as a parent a little engaged, but whether you're homeschooling your child or you're unschooling your child, the main thing that you need to be aware of is you are raising a self learner. You have to make sure that your child gets to the ability of learning by themselves. You cannot keep running behind your child saying like, did you study, are we studying? That doesn't work. And unschooling, so if you ask me whether I can homeschool or not, I would say homeschooling is like a lot more easier. You can do it. You can, and pandemic time has proven to you that it is, everybody can actually homeschool. You just need to invest in books, you need to invest in some good YouTube videos, Google workbooks and printouts. You have dime a dozen websites and stuff like that. You can make a syllabus, you can print out a lot of things, you can give it to your child, make it into an activity, engage the child from morning till evening, allow the child to go out and play or do something else inside the house, whatever it is, it works. It's okay. Is unschooling a journey for you? Is that okay? I mean, is that for me? Is it a right fit for me? That is a very difficult question. And for that, my answer to you would be, are you ready to let go of all the things that you have learned? No, not about your child. We are not talking about your child here. We are not talking about anything else over here. We are talking about you, and you as a parent first. Forget about even your family, forget about your husband, forget about your in-laws, forget about your parents. distant cousins, whoever, doesn't matter. First things first, you as a parent, I mean, you as a person, are you ready to let go of everything that you've learned? Are you ready to unlearn every single thing that you've learned? Are you willing to put in the effort to relearn a lot of things, even if you do not believe in it, even if you do not agree with it? Are you willing to do these things? If you are, only then you can actually think about unschooling. First question is, this is how I asked myself the question when I wanted to unschool my child. Am I willing to spend every single moment observing my child, learning from my child? That was as simple as that for me. Whatever my child does tomorrow, I have to unconditionally support it. Even if she's behaving recklessly, I will have to unconditionally support it. Am I okay with that? Not that I do. Hell no. I don't I condone reckless behavior, whether it is me or anyone in my family. That's besides the point. I kick up a racket at home. That's besides the point. But the question is, if I can challenge myself in the smallest thing, like something that I have grown up to believe that it is not cool, all of a sudden I have to do a 360-degree or 180-degree turn and say that is cool. Am I going to be okay with that? So if I can challenge myself and if I can truly be okay with that, then consider unschooling as a journey for you. I mean, then you
Thank
start doing
you so
homework.
much. That was detailed, and I think I have to first unschool myself before I give that option to my
Deschool.
daughter.
Yeah, the process is called deschooling. For you and me,
Oh,
it is deschooling,
deschooling.
not
Yes.
unschooling.
All right. Thank you so much.
And
No,
actually,
Google,
there's
but you will actually find a lot of good information, and a lot of people talk about this. It's a process called deschooling, meaning this is going to question you. It's going to challenge you. It's going to bring up your belief system, everything, and you will have to relook at everything from why you do certain things or why certain things are okay for you and why certain things are not okay for you. It's like shadow work. So go through Google, you will actually find tons of information about deschooling as a process.
Done.
and
Thank you very much.
And
That was
actually,
very
like unschooling is like extreme thing because you have to trust your child, and you have to trust your child even if he's 2 years old, even if they're 16 years old, even if they're in the crappiest moment. Trusting the child is
Oh,
the most important thing, which is the most difficult because we were never trusted, and we are so we point ourselves like we can't trust ourselves only. So how do you trust another human being? So I guess like if it's so difficult, you can always start with homeschooling and then see where that leads to and then continue the journey. It's not like if I start off with homeschooling, it is going to be homeschooling, or I should always start with unschooling. You can always change ways anywhere you want and take any path that you want, I guess.
I agree with this point. This is a brilliant point she has made. I completely, vote for it. Start with homeschooling because it gives you a sense of control, a sense of structure, a sense of more understanding. But at the same time, you will also gain a lot more confidence because the only thing you will be doing is you will not be challenging your child every single moment. If you see that you are successful in the hi, I'm sorry, this is my latest new entry, which is like he's just 40 days old.
Oh,
So yeah, here he is. And so see, and the moment he comes in and he goes biting like this, children and dogs are not very different,
I
and
swear my 4-year-old, he just came and pulled my hair because I was not playing with him right now, and he keeps biting me, like literally biting me every time I'm not involved with him.
this is the
And
question I ask parents, when bring home a puppy, and when puppy is teething, it'll get into all nooks and cravies and crannies and bite you, bite everything, bite all the furniture at home. And when you see your puppy actually going through and destroying everything, ask yourself, do you still feel the love for that puppy in that moment? If you can radiate love for that puppy in that moment, oh, believe me, you'll make an amazing parent. Unschooling is the journey for you.
That's actually
That's
wonderful.
how I would say it.
Okay, I think Avni has raised a hand. You have anything to ask?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for this amazing tips and tricks and your journey itself. And hi, Suma. I have one question. I'm a homeschooling person. I have two kids, and we started like 2 years back, almost with the pandemic, and this is the second year. However, I want to switch to unschooling. I've done a lot of research and met online a lot of parents and understood it. But what I have difficulty in is, I'm a very structured person, extremely structured person. I'm not able to let go of things. So a lot of tips that you told, that you have to let go yourself first. So that is amazing. And what I am finding challenges with my one of my child is extremely unstructured in his anything he does I cannot predict. And the other one is very structured just like me, so I kind of understand him and we kind of gel together in that way. And the other one is like completely unstructured, and I try to understand him, but he's beyond my understanding, so I really don't know how to go around it, and how to kind of completely different personality thinking wise. Like I don't know what he will do next. And sometimes he'll say I want to study, and sometimes he'll just be very vague and loose, and I don't know, I don't know what he will come up with. So that is one challenge that I face, and I don't know if you have any tips for that. And another thing is like how we wean a little child where they are dependent on us for their needs in their very young years, and we kind of wean them to be on their own. Now it's the same child I'm talking about. He's so dependent on me on all levels. So if I sit with him, he will do something. Otherwise, he will not do it. So, or I don't know. This is my way of looking at those things. But I feel he needs to be independent, and he is 10 years now. So yes, I understand that there is different timelines for every child, but the younger one kind of is independent, and the older one I just don't know how to kind of get around this. So do you have any some advice for me?
Uh, Thank you so much for bringing up this question. And I have to tell you, you have two wonderfully beautiful children. One is a creator, the other one is a diplomat. And please nurture these qualities. Both of them are going to be doing amazingly brilliant in their life. The one who's very structured, the one who's very thought process oriented or whatever it is, he has the ability to be extremely diplomatic and beautifully manage a lot of things, right? And the one that you say who is very unstructured, chaotic,
But the
uncoordinated,
way you use the word diplomatic, I feel that this unstructured one is very diplomatic. He will do things to please me. The other one does it
he
on
will,
his own.
because you need to understand, he's a leader, he's a born leader, he's a natural creator. He needs to convince people to buy his product at the end of the day. So he is a creator. There you go. You have a
Okay.
leader who is he is going to be one of those people, if you really do nurture, like Elon Musk, who can sell moon Mars to people and make money. I mean, come on, who
Right.
doesn't
Maybe,
love
yeah.
Elon? Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there you go. Your child is showcasing a talent that says, in the chaos, in my unstructured behavior, is where I am trying to see where my boundaries are. I'm pushing the limits of the society to see why certain things are working the way it is working. Why can it not be done differently? He's got a very investigative bent of mind, and he is going to be exploring a lot on that. And that is where this chaos, the unstructured behavior stems from, because his brain is working in that fashion. Basically, what I try to tell parents every time when I have a conversation with any of the parent about their children is that your child's behavior is not the child. It is just, it's like if you come to a doctor, if you go to a doctor and if you tell the doctor that, oh, my tummy is hurting, uh, the doctor will not just write a medicine exactly immediately for your tummy pain. Tummy pain is just a byproduct for a disease that is inside or for something else that is going wrong, right? You can be having indigestion. It could be a tummy pain resulting because of stomach flu. It could be tummy pain because of appendicitis. So what is the root cause here? How do we figure out the root cause? The child's behavior gives me the idea of what is going on in the child's head. So as a parent, my tip for you is, do not look at your child's behavior from the point of view of what the child is trying to do. Look at the point of, try to learn to look at it from the point of view of why the child is doing it, because what is the child going through? What's the child thinking through? How the child is thinking. Look at the
We are not able to hear you. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Right. So coming to the journey of from moving from homeschooling to unschooling, uh, if you think you're ready for it, there are other multiple various factors that you will have to look through. You are a very structured as a person. So do you think you can pull off unschooling? Believe me,
I
I am
mean,
very
we
structured too.
can't know unless we do it. So I mean, I'm for it. I like the way it is. No, I
Actually,
mean,
That
we
is
I
never
one.
know the
Yes.
answers. We never know the answer.
No, that is one thing. One thing is that, yes, you will get a better understanding
I
of
like
it
it
when
as
you
a parent.
try it out.
Yeah.
But what I'm also trying to tell you here is the thing that you have in your mind that unschool, I don't know, I don't understand why or how this thing came about here in India, because I'm a little surprised. Quite a few parents that I've spoken to, they have come to me with the same thing that says that, every time I've done my research on unschooling, I come up with this thing that says, it is very chaotic, and I'm a very structured person, and that's the reason why I'm unable to do unschooling. I don't know where this is coming from, because unschooling does not mean that
Sorry,
it is
I can't
chaotic.
hear
Can you hear me now?
some
Is this
network
better?
issue. Yeah, please.
Huh. So
Please
I don't
continue.
understand where this thing comes from, where it says unschooling is very chaotic. No, unschooling is not chaotic. Unschooling is not about not having a structure. What we say in unschooling about structure is that, your structure has to be the one that follows your rhythm, your child's rhythm, your entire family's rhythm. It has to be a harmonious structure. If your child is having a very different structure from you, meaning if you like to organize dress according to the shades of the color, and your child likes to organize the dresses as per the ascending or descending order of sizes, or clothes based on utility, then that also is a structure. That also is, you know it is also this thing. What we are trying to say is that is unschooling. You have a structure, that is your structure. Your child has a structure. It may seem unstructured to you, but there is a
Right.
method in the child's madness.
So
That
how
is what
to
you need to
figure
figure
that
out.
out? I mean, that's what we figure it out on the way, right? That's how it is. That's
you
what you're
you
saying,
see
right?
it, you talk to the child, you have questions with your child, you ask your child. When your child comes up with, when your child does something very crazy, instead of, like, assuming or thinking that it is very crazy, even if it is a play, go ask the child, what are you doing? And more often than not, your child will tell you exactly what the child is trying to create, what the child is trying to do. If there is a better way of doing system things or whatever you can do as a parent, I would suggest, like, please go ahead, tell your child there is a different way of doing it, or there is also an alternate way of doing it, and showcase your structure to the child. But
Right.
when it comes to unschooling, the final decision will be the child's. It'll be a mutual healthy respect between you and your child, meaning you have your structure, you facilitated your structure, you asked your child what the child's structure or that chaos is, or what the method in that madness is, and your child tried to tell you what the method in that madness is. And now you've done your part, you've taught the child how you can do it differently also. Leave it at that, because the child eventually will get that. Either he will adopt what you want or how you do it if it makes sense to him. If it doesn't, he will experiment a few times on his own, and then he'll finally figure a method out, or he will finally figure that your system works better. That is where the patience has to come in. That is where the trust comes into play. And this
Right.
is what I talk about in unschooling. Unschooling is not chaotic. Unschooling is not unstructured. Unschooling looks chaotic, unstructured, because as a parent, you don't interfere way too much into your child's learning curve. You allow the child to make a couple of mistakes. You allow the child, it's not even mistakes, it's different ways of doing things. Like Thomas Alva Edison said, I learned how to not make light bulbs 9,999 times
Right.
or whatever.
Of course. It's the
That
patience.
is,
Hmm.
yeah, that is
I
what is
mean, the
important.
at the part where we have to figure out what's really working for him. So I guess I'll need to work with a lot more patience and just wait. Like you just showed your patience for 7 months or 6 months with your child as to when she was just watching TV. So that was immense patience actually to let her do what So I don't know if I have that type of patience.
You
Probably I'll
see
have to
these
build
dark
with you.
circles? You see these dark circles? You see this hair that is short because I cannot maintain it any longer. Can you see me going bald
Oh my.
here? Believe me, this journey, I mean, jokes
Yeah.
apart with all this, everything, it's, yes, it is patience. More than patience, the way I would see it is try to seek to understand first before you, as a parent. See, the thing is, we all make this mistake. I am guilty of them too. No matter how much of training I've personally gone through as a psychologist, and I keep purging myself every once in 3 months, I keep doing this detox for myself. Old habits die hard. It is difficult. It
Right.
gets a little this thing where you will want to jump to conclusion. You will want to make it, you come from this approach that you already know what is going on with your child, because you're the adult, you've already been through that. Experientially, you have learned it. But that is that very moment when you need to take the step back and tell yourself, it's not your journey, it is your child's learning journey. And you have figured it out that that's not how it's going to work. This is a better way to do things, but your child has to learn it experientially. See, the thing is, one kid of yours who is very unstructured is a very experiential learner. For him, his understanding happens and his learning gets deeper only when it comes through his own experiential knowledge of doing things. He's a very hands-on child. Whereas
It's
the other kid,
completely kinesthetic. Yeah.
yeah, he's very kinesthetic. The other child is completely one who learns by even visual imagery or by reading once or whatever it is. He sees it,
Just
he
learns
imitates
by
it, he does it,
listening.
he
He
understands.
just listens.
Exactly.
He just listens and he learns. I mean, he's a listener.
Exactly. He's very auditory, he's very visual, he for
Right.
him every other modalities of learning absolutely works. Even doing once also will work for him. Even listening once also will work for him.
Yes,
He is like
absolutely.
me, he's a multimodal person. So for him, he just needs to be told once, or he needs to see it once,
Yeah, he
or
follows
he needs
through.
to
Yeah.
do it once.
But
It
he uses
happens.
his brain, he has his own views on things and stuff like that. The other one is like, you told me, so I'm doing it. You tell me what to do, so I will do it. I mean, I want him to be independent and have his own thoughts, but I don't want to push him too far that he stops, looking out for
Which
me when
one
he
is
needs
this?
me. The one, same one.
The
The 10
unstructured
years.
one.
Yeah, yeah. He's always
Okay.
dependent on me for answers, and I don't know how to get around it.
No, the thing about your firstborn, him being dependent on you for answers, uh, is, I don't think it is to do with the learning aspect of it. I don't think it is to do with dependency on you because he's incapable or any of those things. I think it's stemming more or less from his
I don't know if it is need of
need.
approval and appreciation also. I means sometimes
Yes,
I
it
feel
is
it's
definitely
more to do
approval
with
and
the.
appreciation. And that is
Hmm.
stemming only because you also need to understand, probably there has been some unresolved issue with the birth of your second one. See, automatically for the firstborns, what happens is they are the apple of your eyes for till the
Right.
second one comes along, correct? And
Right.
the moment the second one comes along, inevitably as a parent, you may or you may not have done this, or somebody in your family may or may not have done this. I'm not sure, but this, I'm not guaranteeing this as a this thing because I haven't seen the child, so I cannot professionally tell you that this is exactly what the root cause is. I'm just brainstorming here. So somebody might have compared him to the younger one, somebody must have appreciated the younger one, and younger one in front of him. So
Hmm.
there is that need to
Yeah,
feel
it does
secure.
happen actually. It does happen. Hmm.
Yeah, so this thing is deep seated. So this is the reason why he's so codependent on you. This is the reason why he
So
is
what should
so,
I do? What should I do to? What would be your advice?
1 minute,
the
Avni.
dialogues.
Just a minute. We will end the session. Avni, I can give you the number of Shruti,
Yeah,
and
no
you
problem.
can take it offline. Yeah, we have
No
already
problem.
eaten a lot of our time.
Sorry about
But
that.
No,
anyways,
no, no.
Thank you so much.
yeah, it was beautiful and mind-blowing session. Like amazing. Thank you so much for doing this for us, Shruti.
Anytime.
We
Thank
will
you.
get in touch with you about the NIS. Still have it.
Sure do. And thank you so much for inviting
you.
me and giving me this platform to have
It
and share
was
my
amazing.
conversation journey with you.
Thank you so much. And Avni, you can get in touch with me if you need the number. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.